Yo guys, welcome to the video. This is Josh or Milky, and Torchlight Season 3, the global release of the game, is mere weeks away. And I know a lot of you guys were subscribed for Torchlight, and I've been quite quiet with the Torchlight content, waiting for this moment, and we finally have the big preview. We're going to go over everything in this video. If you were unfortunate and you didn't manage to see this live, I'm going to go over all the important things and talk about what's coming in Season 3 that we're to be excited about. If you want to watch the video in its entirety, I will link it in the description. For this, we're just going to go over the important talking points. So first of all, we're going to let them take it away with the Cube of Rapacity. Let's listen to this.
First up, let's talk about the Cube of Rapacity season's gameplay. In both the main story and Netherrealm stages, you might run into monsters that mark with greed by the Cube of Rapacity. When you defeat these unique mobs, you will receive a Desire Crystal, an item exclusive to that map and can be taken out of the map. Once you've taken down the stage boss, the Cube of Rapacity will make its appearance. Offer it a specific number of Desire Crystals to receive random rewards, but beware, don't get carried away by greed, or you might anger the cube and lose all the rewards you've collected so far. The Cube of Rapacity will also attract unique and powerful bosses and special monsters in each stage, which will introduce new challenges and greater rewards in the stage clearing experience. We've introduced a new talent called Avarice Code, exclusive to this season's gameplay, that lets you alter the rewards or challenges presented by the Cube of Rapacity. This means you can enjoy a totally unique gaming experience with different season talent strategies at a very small cost. Of course, there's much more to the season exclusive gameplay than just this. When you draw rewards from the Cube of Rapacity, you might also get a Cube of Craving instead, which is packed with even rarer and more valuable prizes. Additionally, the Cube of Rapacity drops a unique item known as Desire Beads. Desire Beads represent the physical embodiment of Cube of Rapacity's sway over human desires. Black market merchants are more than happy to trade their most precious wares for those coveted items. The special monsters I mentioned earlier will also drop an item known as Desire Core. Desire Cores serve as tokens to challenge new Supreme Boss called Lore Bearer. As the Supreme Judge of the High Court of Desire, this formidable enemy presents a tougher challenge for hunters than ever before. Upon defeating the Lore Bearer, players can expect to receive special and incredibly attractive items, including the season's new precious item, Unifying Wedge, which...
Okay, so let's first unpack everything there. First of all, we have the Cube of Rapacity mechanic. What it means is that when you travel through a map, you're going to be defeating monsters at rapid pace. You know, it's Torchlight. You're going to be zooming through, picking up these Desire Crystals, which can then be spent at the end of the map. You can see them accumulated in the top right here. This guy has 121, and it costs 25 to covet, which means you will randomly be given a reward from this page right here. So you'll click this button, the covet button, you'll spend 25 of your Desire Crystals, and you'll receive one of these rewards. This is how it looks to me. And then after you've spent them all, you'll be given the opportunity to either claim them or be greedy and try and duplicate them all. And in this instance, you could either be very lucky and you get twice as many rewards, or you could be unlucky and the guy swipes them all and says no. Not only that, but we see this awesome skill tree. Something I didn't enjoy as much about Black Sail is that it wasn't extremely deep. You were kind of limited in what you could do. Obviously, we find out more interesting things towards the end. But the Cube of Rapacity, you know, you got the skill tree. It does look like you're going to be able to fill this out in full, so don't worry too much about, oh, where do I go first? And of course, I will be doing guides on this, I'm absolutely sure, and sharing with you guys my findings, but you're probably going to have this page entirely covered. And what this does is when you're traveling through the maps, collecting these Desire Crystals, you're going to encounter big, scary, rare, elite mobs that you need to kill, and they'll drop more of these Desire Beads, which can then be spent in town to purchase items like Flame Elementium, Embers, all sorts of other things that we've seen in the video. So that's the mechanic. Kill mobs, drop loot, gamble for more, and then cash it in town. That's how it looks to me to get started. Now, the new talent system is next. It's called the Divinity Slate. It represents the 7th god. Of course, we have the 6, the talent tree gods. We now have the 7th, and you're going to be able to build your own talent tree. It's kind of like a game of Tetris. You're going to drop these Divinity Slates that you can combine together to create your own custom talent tree, kind of. That's how it looks to me. And you're going to be able to roll these. So you'll get 2 specific mods on the item that will not be changed, and then you can brand them to add up to 3 more modifiers. But when you do so, they can no longer be traded. So you're going to have to craft these up and make your own. So you're going to have to craft these and make your perfect additional talent tree. It's just another deep layer of customization for your character. This looks really cool. I'm excited to get into this. It might be some really interesting things you can do. Of course, there are going to be some really interesting things you do because the talents that you can find in these trees are the ones that are on the existing trees. So you can think of things like +1 to all blessings in God of Machines. There's additional curses. There's tons of additional damage. There's some really broken defensive mechanics where you restore a certain amount of your ES or life on hit or severe injury. So you could base it. There are some insane combinations that could result in immortal characters or crazy broken characters. So let's hope they've done some balance around that. And if not, well, we're going to find it pretty quickly and abuse the hell out of it, I'm sure. Bing is the new hero that's coming with this season, and he looks awesome. He's a trapper or a miner, but kind of with a bit more quality of life. How he works is his hero traits allow you to interact with already existing skills within the game. Think of things like split arrow, lightning shot, electrifying shot, any projectile based skill. He can pack them into his bombs and then throw them at the enemy. And the two different builds that it looks to be is that you can have a build where you don't want to immediately detonate them. You want to build up as many as you can and then explode them all at once to deal more damage to the enemy. Or you want that fast pace, throw and explode, more like bomb throwing playstyle. So Bing looks really cool.
This enables Bing to take down enemies.
Let's be honest, we're probably going to make some kind of league start Bing to share with you guys. And then we have the new Thea. Thea, of course, was the Season 1 Battle Pass character. Now she has a new hero trait, Incarnation of the Gods, and this is based all around Tenacity Blessings and Agility Blessings. And essentially, what happens is she creates a zone on the floor. It's called the Divine Realm. When you're in that Divine Realm, your Agility Blessings are converted into Tenacity Blessings and you receive much less damage. And when you are outside the zone, your Tenacity Blessings are converted into Agility Blessings and you deal much more. So managing that, this looks like kind of gimmicky for mapping, but for bossing or Path of the Brave, this could be a very interesting mechanic. So they're the two new heroes. Really excited for them. We're going to have them all covered on Max Roll. And then the next really cool thing, we have a lot of new skills. We have new sentries. Sentries was a pretty unsupported mechanic. It had a few bits and bobs here and there. I know people have tried it out, made some cool builds, but there are 4 new sentries. We have Ghost Blade Einhaya, which basically synergizes with any multi-strike character to cause massive explosions. It scales with projectiles. And then we have Arrow Einhaya, where it's just tons of damage coming down from the sky. Looks pretty cool. Maybe this could bring Ranger of Glory ahead of Lethal Flash in more circumstances, because right now Lethal Flash beats him out very often. Maybe this skill is what's going to make him have some competition. Then the next skill is Thundercore, which is the lightning based sentry. This is based all on jumps or chains, if you're familiar with them from PoE. You're going to want to bounce those lightning and they gain damage the longer that they're out. So a more spellcasty option. And the fourth is Frostcore. Frostcore deals more damage based on the amount of frostbite you have on the enemy. It absorbs some of that frostbite and deals more damage. Think of things like Frostbitten Gemma that can accumulate huge amounts of frostbite on any enemy. This is going to be crazy. So I think we've got some pretty good builds just off the top of my head for these already. But I'm sure there's going to be way more broken things that we can think of once we actually get into the game and try it. And then the final one is Summon Grim Phantom, which automatically summons these guys for you. It's kind of like another auto-bomby Moto playstyle, where you're going to summon these guys and they do these beams that increase in damage every single time they're cast. Something more for minion players to play with, which was much needed as the argument between machine guards and spiders was getting a little bit old, right? I'm not a minion player myself, but there wasn't much to choose from. Then we have new gear. This I'm not going to go over, but essentially there's new affixes on gear. It's called Order and Chaos, and you can get buffs based on how much order you have or based on how much chaos you have. There isn't enough information on this yet for me to truly go into it, but as soon as patch notes are revealed, we will be talking about it, of course. Then spellcasters are getting a lot of love with this thing called Spell Burst. Think of it as Spell Echo, except you don't get locked in place when you cast. You will cast a spell, and then your character will cast a number of spells equal to your Spell Burst count. If your Spell Burst count was 3, then you would cast once, and then 3 additional times. And you can do this on the move. You don't get locked in place while you're doing it. So some much needed love for spellcasters. Maybe this could bring Space-Time Illusion back into the game, because he's been struggling. We all know that. New crafting system, a huge change. Obviously, prior to this season, it was kind of just click, 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 click until you got the perfect item. now we have some changes. It's going to be more emphasis on picking up loot off the ground and crafting from bases that you find. You're going to want to find items with 2 strong modifiers. As you can see here, this person looted a 4 mod pair of boots that have 2 tier 1 modifiers on them. And then you can then lock these in place and re-roll the 3rd and 4th. This comes at a cost. And you also have something called plasticity on the item, or think of it crafting potential if you've ever played Last Epoch. There's not enough on this now, and I see a few people freaking out about this. I want to get into the game and see just how it plays, but I think it's going to put much more emphasis on picking up items, which for some people will be nice. Personally, I don't like picking up items and IDing them, but maybe it could be good for the game, and that's what it's all about, right? The game is more important than what I enjoy doing. So once you've got these 4 mods, once you've got the 2 that you want to begin with, you lock them in place, you re-roll the 3rd and the 4th, you come to prototypes, which is essentially what we can remember as previous crafting. You can add an affix, and if you don't like it, you can revert back to a previous state of the item. Especially because here, if you notice, if you've got a keen eye, you'll see that there are no ominous or restless embers on this right-hand side. So are they now only drop only? Do you have to drop an item with ominous and restless mods and craft from there? Interesting. We will certainly find out soon. And then, of course, a lot of balance adjustments as well as some really nice quality of life change that I'm sure many people are going to be happy about. Something that I've been advocating for a while, Pack Spirit presets, so that you can have your drop preset, your damage preset for when you're doing bosses. Really nice. The damage cap is now removed. If you were hitting the dummy for 2.1 billion, that was the cap to your damage. Now it won't. So some builds will know just how much they were doing. Hover over for PC gamers. You can now hover over items on the floor in your inventory and quickly read them. We also have guilds, so we will be starting a guild, of course, the Milky Guild. If you want to come join that, we'll sort something out. Controller support optimizations. I know a lot of people like that. Hunter profile optimizations. What this means basically is you can see within the game more of the build. Previously on the hero ranking, you couldn't really see what the person was doing. You couldn't see their support links, you couldn't see their pack spirits, you couldn't see all the small talent points they got. That's a thing of the past. You can now see everything. So much easier to look at someone's build and see what they're doing and maybe copy it in some cases. Trade House got some optimizations. You can now search for duplicated modifiers, which is a really nice change. And then also the game is going to be recommending builds to newer players so they can get started. So if you weren't looking at max roll to the beginner builds, well, now you're going to have them in game to save you one precious tab out of game. You can now just focus on doing it in there. Another thing is the Hero Forge, and now we can think of this, it reads a bit to me like Lab from Path of Exile. At certain level breakpoints now you're going to have to complete an encounter to unlock your hero trait. Rather than just selecting them at level 13 and onwards, you will now have to complete an encounter, so hopefully that's not too annoying. And then Rift gameplay, a campaign-specific mechanic to assist you in getting gear throughout the campaign. I'm all for that. That's pretty cool. It might make the campaign a bit more enjoyable. Not many people like leveling, so maybe that makes it more fun. And then more pack spirits. I know this is a touchy subject for some people, but I know some of you guys like this. There are more pack spirits, and you can now purchase skins and whatnot directly rather than gambling for them. So ultimately, I think this season looks absolutely incredible. The amount of depth that the new system, the Divinity Slates, is going to add to your character is phenomenal. It's like having a 4th talent tree that you can craft yourself. Crazy potential. The season mechanic looks a lot better than last league, so I'm really excited about that. And then the new heroes, of course, we'll be exploring. So I hope if you did miss the live stream, this went over everything in enough detail for you to have an understanding of what's coming in Season 3. I'll be doing plenty of videos over the next few weeks on Torchlight Infinite, as well as getting my league starters ready to share with you guys here and over at Max Roll. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and keep an eye on Max Roll for all our updated Torchlight news coming soon. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.